There are things in this world that we can't explain. Shadows in the corner of your eye, footsteps in an empty room, or that cold, unsettling feeling you get when you're alone. Or think you are. This is a story about a seemingly normal apartment. At least that's what they thought. It started when Jake and his fiancée, Lauren, moved into their new apartment. It was a small, older building in the city, but affordable. They didn't question it at first. In fact, the price seemed like a steal considering the location. But you know what they say about things that seem too good to be true. It began innocently enough, with small things. They would hear creaks at night, which they brushed off as the building settling, or perhaps noisy neighbors. But one night, something happened that they couldn't just explain away. Jake had come home late from work. Lauren was already asleep. As he quietly made his way to the bedroom, he noticed the bathroom light was on. He thought maybe Lauren had forgotten to turn it off, but when he looked inside, there was a handprint on the mirror. A small, wet handprint, like someone had just touched the glass with a damp hand. Only, Lauren hadn't showered. She'd been asleep for hours. Jake wiped it off, assuming it was nothing, but a strange chill ran down his spine as he left the bathroom. He didn't mention it to Lauren, not wanting to scare her. But the next day, something even stranger happened. Lauren was home alone while Jake was at work. She had been in the living room watching TV when she heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps coming from the hallway. She called out Jake's name, thinking maybe he had come home early. But there was no answer. The footsteps continued, and as they got closer, her heart began to race. She froze in place, staring at the hallway entrance. Nothing. No one appeared. The apartment was completely silent again. She slowly got up and checked every room, but there was no sign of anyone. The front door was still locked from the inside. When Jake came home later that night, she told him what had happened. He tried to reassure her, saying it was probably just her imagination, but deep down, he knew something was wrong. He hadn't told her about the handprint. A few nights later, things took a terrifying turn. They had gone to bed, but in the middle of the night, Jake woke up to the sound of soft humming. It was coming from the hallway, the same spot where Lauren had heard the footsteps. He got up, his heart pounding, and cautiously made his way toward the sound. As he reached the end of the hallway, the humming stopped. He looked around, but the apartment was pitch black. Just as he was about to turn back to bed, he felt it, a cold breath against his neck. He spun around, but no one was there. In a panic, he rushed back to the bedroom, only to find the door locked from the outside. Lauren was trapped inside, screaming for him to help her. He slammed his shoulder against the door, and after what felt like an eternity, it finally gave way. But when he stepped into the room, Lauren was gone. Just gone. Jake searched everywhere, called the police, but there was no sign of Lauren, no forced entry, no evidence of a struggle. It was like she had simply vanished. Days turned into weeks, and Jake began to lose hope. One night, while sitting alone in the now empty apartment, Jake looked up at the bathroom mirror, and there it was again. The handprint. Only this time, it wasn't just one. The mirror was covered in small, wet handprints, like a child's. And in the corner, just barely visible in the reflection, was Lauren, standing there with a twisted, eerie smile. He turned around, but the room was empty. When he looked back at the mirror, the handprints were gone. Jake moved out the next day. He never found out what happened to Lauren, but the new tenants, they've started hearing footsteps at night. Sometimes, it's best not to question the things you can't explain.